Wealth is more than money. It's legacy, wisdom, and the alignment of purpose. Welcome to Crown and Keys, where we unlock the secrets to generational wealth, passive income, and financial freedom through real estate, tax strategy, and personal development. I'm your host, Cynthia Spirlin, your guide on this journey. With over 20 years in real estate investing, a Juris Doctorate, and the passion for aligning wealth with purpose, I bring you conversations with the most brilliant minds in real estate, finance, and entrepreneurship. Together, we'll uncover the strategies that turn income into impact and assets into legacy. Your wealth isn't just for you, it's for the generations that follow. So grab your keys, adjust your crown, and let's build something that lasts. Here we are at another episode of Crown and Keys, an opportunity for you to learn a new way to build wealth, passive income, retire early, make any dream you have come true. But the question is how to do it. Everyone says you need passive income, you need a retirement account, you need a 401k, but connecting the dots, that's what we're here to do today. And to help us with that is Dr. Alan Lomax. And he's an expert and he does things really different than anyone. So this is an opportunity to listen and learn about something that people rarely talk about. And so his background is in organizational therapy and commercial real estate. He has extensive experience in real estate investing, and he's doing something different than you might not hear about all the time. So I want you to listen closely, grab your pen and paper. You might want to take notes, but at the end of the episode, you'll find at the notes below how you can contact Dr. Lomax. But I want to thank you for being here today. Welcome, welcome.
Cynthia, it is a true pleasure to be here, and we just met a couple of days ago, but you already feel like an old friend. You just have such a warm and open and genuine loving personality. So I'm glad to be with you and delighted to be with your audience. And I hope that we can bring some meaningful content.
Yes, I agree. So tell me about your journey in investing.
Be glad to. So, let me just start out and let me just address your audience here. So I want all of you out there to just imagine waking up every day, knowing your wealth is growing effortlessly while you focus on what truly matters to you, whether that's your family, your business, whatever is most meaningful to you. Because I am passionate about supporting all of you, professionals, entrepreneurs, and particularly we're really focusing upon women today because there's a lack of women in real estate and there really is no reason for that. But I want you to fulfill your most meaningful endeavors. And while you are doing that, I want to empower you to transfer your underperforming assets into high yield investments. Mm-hmm. And our strategy delivers 18% plus annual rates of return, which doubles your capital within 5 years. So turning 100,000 into 200,000 within a 5-year period. And so while you're making the world a better place, your wealth grows silently in the background, securing not just your future, but also your legacy. So financial well-being shouldn't cost your time or your peace of mind. And I'm really committed to seeing that it doesn't. So a bit about me. I got a pretty late start in life. It took me a long time to get my feet firmly planted. And there was a lot of reasons for that, and we're not going to go into that today. But a crisis moment back in 1989 brought me into psychotherapy for the first time. And for the first time in my life, I really started to see and appreciate the assets that I personally had and that I could bring to the world. And through that process, I returned to university and got my master's in counseling and eventually got my PhD in organizational systems psychology. And I found myself then in higher education with a passion to help other people develop and to do that much earlier than I did so that they don't have to waste 20, 25 years of their lives finding themselves. And I've been committed to that process ever since then. Well, once I finally got my feet planted on the ground, I had resources where I could start developing my wealth. Though I love my job in higher education, I mean, that's just not, you're not going to develop a whole lot of wealth as a professor. So I started looking into real estate, and just by the seat of my pants, I started purchasing single family homes and doing what is known as house hacking. I converted single family homes into triplexes. I lived in a portion of it and rented out the rest of that. And through that, started developing wealth really beyond what I had ever really conceived. And then in 2008, since I didn't know what I was doing, I got hit with a sledgehammer because I was way over leveraged. And so I lost nearly all of the wealth that I had accumulated up to that time. And at the same time, because of all of the issues around 2008, I also lost the job that I loved and where I found so much of my meaning. So I went into a really dark period, and it took me a long time to come out of that, really about 5-6 years. And through that, what really helped me to really start reconnecting, and you'd ask about Steed and why Steed Talker is part of my company name. Well, it was horses really that pulled me through that period, and finding a really deep connection with horses through ways and means that I never imagined that I would. Because horses have this ability to take us really into that present moment, that place of peace and quiet and contemplation. And I found that to be extraordinarily powerful. And then through that, I really started reconnecting with people once again. And so I didn't lose actually all of my property, and that 5 or 6, 7 years, property values started coming back up. And so finally I had some equity once again to work with. And I took that equity and joined some masterminds, got some coaching, got some real education, and I started investing in commercial real estate rather than single family properties. And there's a lot of advantages to that. I mean, the ability to scale is, you can scale much faster with commercial real estate than you can with single family. It's much more stable. The returns are better. There's less risk there. So many things about that. So I got into commercial real estate, and you had a question?
Yes, I wanted to just interject here. I think it's really pivotal that of this journey that you've taken. So you had a point in time when you started again from basically zero. And a lot of people are there for different reasons. They're just graduating college, they have a job change, a divorce, certain situations that bring them to that zero. And it's like, okay, I'm starting over again. So in light of the fact creating generational wealth, it can be created at any point from zero, if you're 20, 40, 60. But the younger you are, when you understand these principles, the better off you can be. And so you did have something to start with again, which is helpful because you had done the right things before and kind of set yourself up for success, starting from zero. But what's key is the time you spent getting your mind right. There was a time so before the wealth is the mindset, is what I am following with this conversation, that you worked on yourself and you prepared yourself. Because if you're not prepared, is it possible to see the path into abundance, prosperity, creating a legacy. It sounds like it's the foundation. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Successful people talk about mindset all the time, and they talk about it like it's a static thing. You either have it or you don't have it. And it hasn't been that way for me because, during that really devastating 2008 period, it was hard for me to think in a growth mindset. It was that fixed mindset and roaring back. And it's like, I'm a failure. I can't succeed here. I'm never going to amount to anything. And I had to recultivate that growth mindset. And that's what I did with the work that I did with horses and with mastermind groups and so on and so forth. But yes, it is, that mindset is, and I'm glad you brought this up because that is so critical to anyone's success. And I don't know if you're familiar with the work of Carol Dweck, but she has written she's a preeminent expert on this, and she's written extensively about mindset. And as opposed to the fixed mindset, as opposed to a growth mindset, and what a difference it makes. And she's gone into school systems and worked with educators and helping educators to inculcate into their pupils a growth mindset. Within a school year, you can see dramatic differences in the outcome, the academic outcomes of students whose instructors have helped them to develop a growth mindset. So it is powerful. It is extraordinarily powerful. And we can all develop that. And no matter where we are in life, right. If we've lived a life of defeat and ne'er-do-well existence, like I did for the first 38 years of my life, we can turn that around. We can turn that around at any point in time. And we can develop that growth mindset, which the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset is simply that with a fixed mindset, it is things are the way they are. We have no influence on them, and they're going to stay that way. A growth mindset looks at a problem and an issue and says, how am I going to solve this? And how am I going to work beyond this? And that's the big difference there. And we can flip that switch.
Yeah.
But I know that there's emotional and psychological issues that oftentimes stand in our way. But with support and help, we can all make that transition there.
Right. Especially now that mental health is more open and accessible to people. So whatever you're going through and this conversation, it's causing you to experience that, oh, Alan's lucky. You know what I mean? So we can all be lucky if we choose and say, okay, what else is possible? What else is possible? Who can I ask for help? Because I know another part of success is that you're not an island. It's not something you have to do alone. It's reaching out and finding someone that will pay it forward and, help you. Like Alan is sharing his personal story today and bringing a lot of depth of information that's more than just, oh, you need passive income. It's a journey, it's a process. And that's what we have to understand, that having a vision is essential to this type of planning, that you're willing to sacrifice something today for a better tomorrow. And I know with my parents, as a married couple, you go through different things, but having a common goal that this is where we're going, and that's how you get through the end, whatever it's your college education, the promotion on your job, it takes dedication, it takes a vision to get there. So these seeds are being planted today that, yes, we want to talk about generational wealth, but what are the dots, connecting the dots along the way in that journey, the breadcrumbs? These are really great tools that Alan's sharing with us today. And there's some books out there if you don't have access to people in your community. That's a great resource to start with. And the internet with blogs, there's, just let your fingers do the walking. But, ask yourself what else is possible so the ideas can come to you. So now you are in this process of buying real estate and rebuilding your wealth and changing, sounds like your career path a little bit. So, where are you now with your career and helping others to duplicate, go from zero or increase what they have without being so actively involved or having to even learn about real estate?
Where we are now is, as I discovered commercial real estate and realized the power that lies there, I really came to the point where, like the important thing for me is that people are developing and growing as a person and that they are fulfilling their passions and their purposes. Well, I've discovered, of course, that if you find your passion and your purpose, whether you're rich or poor or somewhere in between there, you're going to find fulfillment in life. At the same time, financial well-being is always going to help. It is not going to hurt. And the better you are off financially, the more that you can do with your life, the greater impact you can make, the more resources you just are going to have at your disposal. Just several years ago, in the early 2000s, there were some studies done that seemed to indicate that as people's wealth grew, their happiness grew. That was up to, back in the 2000s, I think it was up to $90,000 a year. And then beyond that, it kind of tapered off. It didn't matter how much more you made. Well, more recent studies looking at various different variables and what have you have discovered that that really isn't the case, that the more wealth people have, the happier they get, and there really is no cap on that. That is, if you have a giving mindset and an open mindset. If you are a curmudgeon to start with, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much money you have, you're not going to be happy. But people who are open and willing to grow and develop, their happiness just continues to grow with their wealth. So there's no cap on that. So this past summer, I've been thinking about this for some point in time. I opened up my program, Streams to Impact, which is a program to help people to convert their low-performing assets into high-performing assets through private placements. Our bread and butter is multifamily, but we also offer private placements in various different other segments of car washes, ATM machines, and we're looking into even startups, which have the potential to bring tremendous returns, but also more risk involved in that. So what we have pulled together is, well, the private placement market, people do not know this, but the private placement market is much larger. There are trillions of dollars in private placements, much more than in the public stock market. And yet, only a fragment of individuals cross over from stocks into private placements because there's a barrier there. It's difficult to find private placements. And when you find private placements, can you trust the operators that are providing these? And do you know anything about private placements? And most people do not. And so there's a huge barrier there. There's something like 40 million or 45 million people or accredited investors in the United States. Only about 5% of those individuals are investing in private placements, as opposed to the ultra wealthy who are putting 60 to 65% of their assets in private placements and only about 16, 17% into public markets.
Mm-hmm.
And so we put together a platform where people can cross over that barrier. Most operators, another problem with going into private placement is when you go to any operator out there who's putting a syndication together, you go to them and they're going to have investment opportunities in their project, and they're going to go, how much do you have? Generally speaking, it's a $50,000 minimum.
Yeah.
But if you've got 500,000, they'll say, put it here with us. And we don't do that. We want people to diversify across syndicators, across geographic areas, across different segments. Even in multifamily, we want people involved in workforce housing and senior housing and different levels, A, B, and C levels of multifamily. We want people involved in mobile home parks, and we want people to diversify into other recession-resistant assets like self-storage. So
right.
When they come to us, we're not going to say, well, here's a project, put your 500,000 into that. We're going to say, let's put 50 here, let's put 50 here, let's put 50 here, let's put 50 here, so that they are diversified across, like I said, geographic areas. We have projects going on in Alabama, in Tennessee, and in North Carolina, and we'll have projects going really all over the country because we are looking for growth areas. That is growth in terms of employment opportunities, income, and in population growth. Those are where the opportunities are lying. Those are going to vary and change over time. And so the Rust Belt is becoming a great place to invest now. Prices are not skyrocketing, and yet populations are growing. People are returning to those areas and because of the lower cost of living.
Yeah.
And so jobs are coming into those areas. Job market's growing, the incomes are growing, and so it really is a good place to go to. So we're looking for those kinds of opportunities, and those are the kinds of opportunities that people who come into our program have. We have a network of over 500 partners that we have the potential to invest with, and we know their track record. We know their backgrounds. They've already been vetted by us. And for instance, we are looking for operators who have, within the last 5 to 10 years, they have taken projects full cycle, at least 5 of them. And in all of the projects, we want to see that they have outperformed their projections so that we know that they are underwriting conservatively and that they know how to operate and bring these projects to fulfillment. So that's what we offer. You were going to say something?
Yeah, I think that, this is really important to have the awareness that there's another option. So this is, good information. Yeah, I know you have a website. You also have a blueprint. Can you tell us a little bit about the blueprint?
Yes, High Yield Blueprint.
Yeah.
And if you just go to highyieldblueprint.com, you can get a free copy of our blueprint. And so that is www.highyieldblueprint.com, and pick up a free copy of that blueprint.
That would give a little bit of more background to understand the private placement.
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. I really appreciate you being with us today and helping us to understand this, that there are options out there and how important it is to have the right mindset, to ask for help, to be open to new possibilities, and that to never let go of your passion or your vision for your future. You can start over again. And real estate is a very safe investment. and be open diversifying your portfolio, and working with the investment specialists like Dr. Lomax can really make a difference in creating generational wealth. So I encourage you to visit the website and check out the blueprint and contact him to learn more about creating passive income safely and how to double your income without lifting a finger.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, thank you again, Dr. Lomax.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Thank you for tuning in to Crown and Keys, where wealth meets wisdom and legacy is built with intention. If today's episode inspired you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, subscribe, and leave a review. And if you're ready to take your wealth strategy to the next level, visit crownandkeyspodcast.com to align your finances with your future. Until next time, stay aligned, stay empowered, and keep building your legacy. Your keys are in your hand. See you soon.